Imagine your brain is a supercomputer.
Okay, a supercomputer. I like that.
Right. You have spent months, maybe even years, programming this computer.
Oh, absolutely. Memorizing vocabulary, doing grammar exercises.
Exactly. You can instantly translate complex grammar rules.
Yeah.
You can ace a highly structured written English exam with, absolute precision.
A perfect score on paper.
Right. But then you take that same brilliant supercomputer, you place it in an elevator next to a complete stranger. The doors close, the silence stretches out.
Oh, no.
And the system completely crashes. Your mind just goes totally blank. You are paralyzed by this simple, terrifying question. Should I talk about the weather?
It is the ultimate system failure. And honestly, it is incredibly common.
Yeah, real-life social interaction is, well, it's the one test that does not come with an answer key.
Right. There's no multiple choice in an elevator.
So welcome to a special deep dive, crafted specifically for you, the English learner. Today, we are not looking at textbooks.
No textbooks today.
We are looking at the murky, unwritten rules of human connection. We are diving deep into the art, the psychology, and the absolute necessity of what we call small talk.
Which is such an important topic.
It really is. And to guide us, we have a fascinating stack of sources that break down the actual mechanics of starting, maintaining, and, gracefully escaping everyday English conversations.
Small talk gets a really terrible reputation.
It does. People say it's fake.
Right. People dismiss it as fake or superficial or just a waste of breath. But if we look at the sociological reality based on our sources, small talk is actually a foundational human tool.
A tool for what, exactly?
Well, it's not about the words themselves. It's a vital social ritual.
I mean, think of it like this. Small talk is the appetizer of a conversation.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. If you go to a fancy restaurant, you do not sprint into the kitchen, grab a massive steak with your bare hands, and just start eating.
That would be chaotic.
It would be terrifying.
Yeah.
To everyone around you. Instead, you sit down, you are served a small, light appetizer. It prepares your palate, it calms you down, and it sets the stage for the main course.
That is a brilliant way to frame it because you simply do not skip straight to the main course with people you do not know.
Right.
You don't walk up to a stranger waiting for a train and immediately ask them, to explain their deepest childhood fears.
Or their complex life philosophy.
Exactly. You must start with the appetizer. You have to prove that you are safe to interact with.
Safe. That's a great word for it. So our mission today is to give you, the listener, a highly practical toolkit to navigate this exact situation.
A survival kit for conversations.
Yes. By the end of this deep dive, we want you to transform from feeling anxious and frozen to operating like a confident conversation detective.
I really like that term, conversation detective.
We'll get into what that means a bit later. But basically, you will learn to read the room, find the clues, and build a connection. So let's look at the very first hurdle.
The initial moment of contact.
Right. How do we break the ice when the silence feels physically painful?
Well, that physical pain you feel during an awkward silence, it's actually a fascinating evolutionary response.
Yeah, really? Evolution?
Yeah. Human beings are deeply social creatures. Historically, being excluded from a social group meant danger. It meant you might not survive.
Wow, so the stakes feel really high.
Exactly. When we stand next to someone in total silence, our brains often interpret that lack of connection as a low-level threat. We feel vulnerable.
So breaking the ice is actually the act of removing that threat.
Precisely. You are signaling, hey, I'm safe.
To illustrate how to do this correctly in English, our sources share a very relatable story about a language learner named Leo.
Ah, yes. Leo at the bus stop.
Right. So Leo is waiting at a bus stop on a very dark, very rainy morning. He is standing next to a stranger.
A classic small talk scenario.
Exactly. Leo wants to practice his English, and he wants to be friendly. But his supercomputer brain freezes. He frantically searches for the right vocabulary.
And according to the source, Leo's first instinct was to turn to the stranger and ask, "Do you like rain?"
Which, well, if you think about it, is a perfectly constructed English sentence.
The grammar is flawless.
Right. The subject, the verb, the object, it's all there.
The grammar is flawless, but the sociology is entirely wrong.
How so?
Well, "Do you like rain?" is a direct, personal question. It forces the stranger to instantly evaluate their personal preferences and deliver a definitive answer to someone they literally do not know.
Yeah, that feels a bit intense.
It feels less like a friendly greeting and much more like a psychological interview.
Right. It demands too much, too soon. It's like handing them that raw steak.
Exactly.
So Leo pauses. He remembers some advice he received. Instead of interrogating the stranger, Leo looks around at their shared environment.
The physical space they are both in.
Yes, the dark sky, the heavy rain, the missing bus. He turns to the stranger and simply says, "Crazy weather, right? I hope the bus arrives soon."
And what was the result?
The stranger immediately relaxes, smiles, and enthusiastically agrees, saying they had been waiting in the cold for 20 minutes. The tension just vanishes.
The ice is broken.
The ice is broken. So let's analyze the mechanics of why Leo's second attempt worked so beautifully.
Well, Leo utilized a technique known as an observational opener.
An observational opener. So that's just making a comment about something you were both actively looking at.
Precisely. An observational opener focuses entirely on something external that both people can see, hear, or feel in that exact moment.
It takes the pressure off the person.
Right. It creates an instant shared reality. When Leo talked about the crazy weather, he was not asking the stranger to reveal anything personal.
He wasn't prying.
No, he was essentially saying, you and I are both surviving this same frustrating situation right now.
But, okay, let me push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Is talking about the weather not a massive cliche? I hear language learners complain about this all the time.
They really do.
They feel like it is a joke that British and American people only talk about the weather. They worry that if they bring up the rain, they will sound incredibly boring.
That is a very valid anxiety. When you are learning a language, you want to sound interesting. You want to sound intelligent.
Right, you want to show off your vocabulary.
But this brings up a crucial misunderstanding about the purpose of small talk. It is a cliche because it is the most effective tool we have.
It works.
It works perfectly. Small talk is not a performance. It is not about being the most entertaining person in the room.
So what is the actual goal then, if not to be interesting?
The goal is to create a low-stakes, universally safe environment. And the weather is the ultimate equalizer. Every single human being on Earth experiences the weather.
That's true.
Furthermore, no one is personally responsible for it, right? And it does not require deep emotional thought to discuss.
You don't need a philosophy degree to talk about a cloudy sky.
Exactly. When you mention the weather, you are sending a social ping. You are essentially saying, I acknowledge your presence, I am friendly, and I come in peace.
I come in peace. I love that phrasing. It really is just a radar sweep for friendliness.
A radar sweep, yep.
And to help you, the listener, quickly identify these safe zones when your mind goes blank, our sources provide a highly effective framework. It is an acronym.
The WORK method.
Right, WORK. So if you find yourself panicking in silence, just think of the word work. Let's unpack the sociology behind each of these 4 safe topics.
The W stands for exactly what we just discussed, weather.
The classic.
It is the foolproof observational opener.
Beautiful day today, or can you believe this wind? It requires 0 cognitive load from the other person. Okay, moving on to the O. What does that stand for?
The O stands for occasion. This refers to the specific event, the physical location, or the reason you and the stranger happen to be in the same room.
This makes a lot of sense. You are leveraging the fact that you already have one thing in common, which is your current geography.
It's exactly.
Let's role play this for the listener to see how it functions. Let's say we are at a mutual friend's wedding reception.
Okay, a wedding.
We are standing near the buffet table, and we have never met. I could turn to you and say, the food looks amazing. How do you know the bride and groom?
That is a textbook execution of the occasion opener. By asking, how do you know the bride and groom? No, you are leaning into the shared context.
Right.
Sociologically, humans naturally form in-groups and out-groups. When you are at a private event, everyone there is part of a temporary in-group.
We're all on the same team for the night.
Yes. Asking about the occasion reminds the other person that you belong to the same group, which immediately lowers their social defenses.
It works in professional settings too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
If you were at a business conference, you wouldn't ask about the bride and groom. You would say, are you enjoying the speakers today? Or which breakout session are you heading to next?
Right. You are building a bridge out of the materials that are already lying around the room.
I love that. You just look around and use what's there. So that is O for occasion. That brings us to the R in the WORK method.
R stands for recent news.
Ah, recent news. Okay, so if I am trying to break the ice with a colleague, I can ask them for their thoughts on the upcoming presidential election. Or maybe a recent controversial court ruling.
Absolutely not. Please do not do that.
Why?
That is a conversational landmine. When the framework suggests recent news, it strictly means light, non-controversial, low arousal news.
Low arousal.
Yes. You must avoid politics, tragedies, or highly polarizing debates at all costs during the appetizer phase of a conversation.
Let's explain why, because, in some cultures, debating politics is a very normal, vigorous way to connect with people.
It's seen as a sign of intelligence or engagement in some places.
Right, so why is it so dangerous in English-speaking small talk?
It comes down to emotional arousal and cognitive load. Politics and controversial news trigger a high arousal emotional state. It's often a fight or flight response.
People get defensive.
People have deeply entrenched moral identities tied to their political views. If you introduce a topic that triggers defensiveness or anger with someone you barely know, you instantly destroy the feeling of safety.
You're basically skipping the appetizer, skipping the main course, and just throwing a glass of wine in their face.
Precisely. So, recent news must be positive or neutral.
Like what?
Entertainment, sports, a new blockbuster movie that just came out, a local cultural festival, or, a major technological breakthrough.
So I could say, did you see the final score of the game last night?
Yes. Or, did you hear about that new art exhibit opening downtown? These are safe, external topics that invite easy participation.
Keep it light. Keep it low arousal. Okay, so we have W for weather, O for occasion, R for recent news. That leaves the final letter, K.
And this one is powerful.
It might be my absolute favorite. The K stands for kindness.
Kindness, in this context, means offering a genuine, appropriate compliment.
I use this technique constantly. If I am in an elevator and someone is wearing a really vibrant, unique pair of glasses, I will just say, those glasses are fantastic. They really suit you.
And how do they react?
The transformation in their body language is almost instantaneous. They just light up.
And there is a hard neurochemical reason for that reaction.
Really? Science backs this up.
Yes. When you give someone a genuine compliment, their brain releases a hit of dopamine and serotonin.
The feel-good chemicals.
Exactly. These are the neurotransmitters associated with reward, pleasure, and social bonding. You are literally causing a positive chemical reaction in their body.
You are making them feel good about themselves. And when someone feels good, they naturally want to continue engaging with the person who caused that feeling.
However, there is a very strict rule about compliments in Western cultures that we must clarify for the listener.
Right, there's a boundary here.
A big one. You should only compliment a choice the person made, never their innate physical traits.
So complimenting the glasses is good.
Complimenting someone's glasses, their shoes, or their stylish briefcase is safe because they chose to buy and wear those items. You are validating their good taste.
But commenting on their body is a no-go.
We will discuss the dangers of commenting on physical appearance a bit later because it's a huge taboo. But for now, remember that kindness means praising their choices.
Okay, so the W-O-R-K method. Weather, occasion, recent news, kindness. This is your mental safety net. But, having the right topic is only half the battle.
It's the delivery, too.
Exactly. Let's go back to Leo at the bus stop. There was a very specific, almost invisible grammatical trick he used that made his opener successful.
Right. He didn't just declare a fact.
No, he did not just say the weather is crazy. He said, crazy weather, right?
Yes. That tiny addition at the end of the sentence changes the entire dynamic of the interaction. In English grammar, we refer to these as question tag.
Question tag. So phrases like, it is freezing today, isn't it? Or, this coffee line is moving incredibly slowly, aren't we?
Exactly. Let's look at the difference. If you simply state a fact like, it is hot today, you are making a closed statement. The sentence is complete.
It's a dead end.
The other person hears you, but they are under no social obligation to respond. The thought is finished, but the moment you add a question tag like, isn't it? You fundamentally alter the structure from a statement into an invitation.
Let's use an analogy to visualize this for the listener. Imagine you are holding a baseball. This baseball represents the conversation.
Okay, I've got the baseball.
When you make a declarative statement, it is hot today, you're essentially holding the baseball up and looking at it. The other person can see the ball, but they don't have it.
I'm just showing it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you add the question tag, isn't it? You're gently tossing that baseball into their hands. You are throwing it to them.
It is the perfect visual. You are handing the conversational floor over to them.
Making it easy.
You are making it mechanically effortless for them to participate because all they have to do is catch the ball and agree with you. Yes, it really is hot.
Let's demonstrate how a learner might practice this in their head. Instead of asking you, the listener, to speak out loud wherever you are right now, I want you to just listen to how natural and low pressure this rhythm sounds.
Notice the tone, too.
Yes. Notice how the voice slightly rises at the very end of the sentence to signal the toss of the ball. Let's say I'm looking out a window at a storm. I would say, terrible storm out there, isn't it?
And as the recipient, I easily catch the ball. It really is. I hope it clears up soon.
Perfect. Let's try one based on the occasion. Say we are struggling to find a parking spot at a busy shopping mall. I look at the driver next to me and say, busy morning, right?
And I respond, absolutely. I've been circling for 10 minutes.
It is so simple, but it is deeply effective. You state a shared observation and you toss the ball.
But, as any language learner knows, human interaction isn't just about the words leaving your mouth.
Oh, not at all.
There is an entire physical landscape you have to navigate before you even speak.
This is a critical point. The physical environment, the unspoken rules of space and posture, is just as loud as your vocabulary.
Yes, your body is always talking.
And in English-speaking cultures, particularly in North America and the UK, our sources note there are deeply ingrained expectations regarding personal space.
This is a massive cultural variable.
It really is. If you are coming from a highly dense, high-context culture, perhaps in parts of East Asia or the Middle East, standing very close to someone might be a sign of warmth or engagement or just a practical reality of city living.
Right, you're used to being physically close.
Conversely, in some Scandinavian cultures, people might naturally stand quite far apart. So, for an English learner operating in an American or British context, what is the golden rule of thumb?
The standard measurement in these cultures is often referred to as the arm's length rule.
An arm's length. So if I were to raise my arm and reach straight out toward you, my fingertips should just barely graze your shoulder.
Exactly. That physical distance creates a psychological bubble around each person. Anthropologists study this under the term proxemics.
Proxemics.
Yes. If you violate that bubble and stand closer than an arm's length to a stranger, their brain's threat detection system will activate.
The alarms go off.
They will feel crowded, intimidated, or uncomfortable. You will physically see them take a step backward to reestablish their boundary.
And what if I overcompensate? What if I stand too far away, say 3 arm lengths?
Then the social signal changes completely. Standing too far away communicates coldness, disinterest, or a desire to escape. It says, I'm physically distancing myself from you.
So arm's length is really the magic number.
The arm's length distance is the sweet spot. It is close enough to signal intimacy and friendliness, but far enough away to respect their autonomy and safety.
Okay, so you are standing respectfully at that arm's length.
Yeah.
What should your facial expression be communicating?
A relaxed, genuine smile.
Just a smile.
It sounds almost too basic to mention, I know. But when we are concentrating hard on translating vocabulary in our heads, our faces often tense up.
Oh, yeah.
We get a serious, furrowed brow that can look like anger or intense judgment.
Oh, the dreaded concentration face. You are just trying to remember the past participle of an irregular verb, but to the stranger, you look like you are plotting their demise.
Precisely. You have to consciously soften your face. A smile transcends every language barrier on the planet.
It's universal.
It triggers mirror neurons in the other person's brain, prompting them to smile back. Even if you completely ruin the grammar of your opening sentence, a warm smile will communicate your friendly intentions, and they will almost always meet you with grace.
So let's pause and map out where we are in the journey. You have approached the stranger. You have respected the cultural arm's length distance.
Check.
You have consciously relaxed your face into a warm smile. You have selected a safe topic, using the W or K method, let's say, the weather. You have stated an observation and tossed the conversational baseball with a question tag. Beautiful day, isn't it? And the other person smiles, catches the ball, and says, yes, it really is beautiful.
A perfect opening.
And here's the scary part. Now the ball is firmly back in your hands.
It is.
The ice is broken, the river is ready to flow, but if you do not know how to steer the boat, you are going to crash immediately.
Yes, the initial greeting is only the first 10 seconds. The real challenge is what happens in the next 10 seconds.
Right?
If you fail to maintain the momentum, the silence will return, and it will be twice as awkward as before because now you have officially acknowledged each other.
You can't just pretend they aren't there anymore. Which brings us to the next massive hurdle, what our sources call keeping it alive. We need to talk about the absolute danger of the conversational dead end.
The dead end. A dead end occurs when one person asks a question that structurally forces the flow of information to halt. In linguistics, we call these closed questions.
To really understand why closed questions are the enemy of small talk, let's demonstrate one for the listener.
Sounds good.
I will play the role of an enthusiastic party guest, and you play the person I just met.
Yeah.
Ready?
I am ready.
Hi there. Do you like coffee?
Yes.
Well, ouch. Even just role-playing that makes my stomach tie in knots, it is a brick wall.
It is incredibly painful, but let's look at why it is painful. It is not because the topic of coffee is bad.
Coffee is a great topic.
It is because the grammatical structure of your question forced me into a corner. You ask, do you like coffee? You ask for a binary data point. Yes or no?
Right.
Once I provided that data point, yes. My job was done. The transaction was complete.
I didn't give you any room to expand. A closed question is essentially a trap that only allows a yes or no escape.
Correct. And for English learners, recognizing the grammatical triggers for closed questions is vital. Closed questions almost always begin with the auxiliary verbs do, is, or are.
Do, is, are.
Yes. Think about it. Do you like your job? Is it raining outside? Are you from around here? Did you have a good weekend?
When you start a sentence with do, is, or are, you are essentially begging the other person for a one-word answer. And here's the worst part.
What's that?
Once they say yes or no, the pressure is immediately transferred entirely back onto your shoulders. You have to invent another topic out of thin air.
Which is cognitively exhausting. If you rely on closed questions, the interaction stops feeling like a conversation and starts feeling like an aggressive interrogation.
Like a job interview.
Right, you are just firing random, disconnected questions at them.
So how do we fix this? What is the antidote to the dead end?
The secret to effortless, flowing conversation lies in mastering open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions. And these are the questions that begin with the classic W and H words, correct?
Exactly. Who, what, where, when, why, and how.
The journalist words.
Yes. Unlike do or is, these words cannot physically or logically be answered with a simple yes or no. They require the respondent to describe a situation, to explain a feeling, to offer an opinion, or to tell a mini-story. They require full sentences.
This shifts the spotlight. It takes the pressure off of you and gives the other person the stage.
Let them do the work.
Let's practice transforming some of those terrible closed questions into excellent open questions. Earlier, I asked the closed question, do you like your job? If they say yes, the conversation dies. How should I rephrase that using an open question?
You could ask, what is the most challenging part of your job? Or, how did you originally get into your line of work?
Oh, the difference is night and day.
Yeah.
How did you get into your line of work? Forces them to tell you their origin story.
Right.
They have to explain their university degree or a lucky break they caught or a passion they pursued. You just bought yourself 5 minutes of them talking while you get to relax and listen.
Exactly. Let's look at another very common scenario. After a long weekend, colleagues constantly ask each other, was your weekend good?
Oh, I hear that every Monday.
Again, it starts with was, a form of is, it is closed, they say yes, and the interaction is over. How do we open that door?
We swap it for a what's question. What did you get up to over the weekend?
Perfect. Now, they cannot just say yes. They have to tell you about the museum they visited, the terrible movie they rented, or the fact that they spent 48 hours doing laundry.
Whatever it is.
Whatever their answer is, it gives you new material to work with.
It provides fuel for the fire. And this brings us back to our friend Leo. Our sources share a second story about Leo that perfectly illustrates how to use open questions to recover from a mistake.
Let's look at Leo's progress. He is no longer at the bus stop. He is now attending a catered company lunch.
Just step up.
He is sitting at a large table next to a new colleague from a different department whom he has never spoken to before.
Leo remembers his training. He looks down at his plate, looks at her plate, and uses an occasion opener with a question tag. He says, the food is great today, isn't it? He tossed the baseball beautifully.
But his colleague is perhaps a bit shy, or maybe just tired, and she replies with a flat, one-word answer, yes.
The baseball just hits the ground. Is a dead end. But Leo doesn't panic. He realizes he needs to use an open-ended question to force her to speak. So he asks, what do you usually have for lunch?
Notice the what. What do you usually have? He is asking for a description.
His colleague responds that she usually brings her own salads from home, and here is where Leo proves he is evolving from a beginner into a true master.
What does he do?
He doesn't just say, oh, cool. He uses her answer to formulate his next open question. He goes, I've been trying to eat healthier. Do you know any good salad places around this neighborhood?
And according to the source, that specific question sparked a passionate 10-minute conversation about local restaurant, healthy diets, and cooking techniques.
It is brilliant. Leo executed what the experts call the conversation detective mindset.
I want to spend some time analyzing this concept of the conversation detective because it is the most vital shift in perspective an English learner can make.
Let's do it. What does a detective actually do?
A detective enters a room and looks for hidden clues. When you are learning a language, your brain is usually so focused on yourself.
Right.
You are translating their words into your native language, figuring out the meaning, and then frantically translating your next sentence back into English before it is your turn to speak. You are entirely internally focused.
And because you are internally focused, you miss the clues being handed to you. A conversation detective stops worrying about their next sentence and actively listens to the content of the other person's answer.
Yes. When Leo's colleague said, I usually bring my own salads, the word salads was the glowing neon clue. She handed him a piece of data about her life.
She gave him a starting point.
Leo grabbed that specific clue and built his next question entirely around it.
Do you know any good salad places? He used her own data to keep the engine running.
Exactly.
To help learners operationalize this detective work, our sources outline a highly structured, easy-to-remember framework. It is called the QAQ method.
The QAQ method, question, answer, question. This represents the ideal rhythm of a sustainable, balanced conversation.
Let's break down the choreography of this dance. Step 1. The other person asks you a question.
Okay.
Step 2. You give an answer, but crucially, you do not just give a bare-bones answer and stop. You must add one extra unprompted detail. In the framework, we call this extra detail a hook.
Think of a fishing hook. You are casting a line into the water with a little bit of bait on it, giving the other person something interesting to bite onto.
Exactly. You give your answer, you add a hook, and then step 3, you ask a new question back to them. So question, answer plus a hook, question.
QAQ.
Let's demonstrate how this transforms an interaction. First, let's do it the wrong way, the way most beginners do it when they are nervous.
Okay, I will play the colleague. So, where are you originally from?
I'm from Taipei.
Oh.
Nice. And the conversation dies. I answered the question perfectly, but I didn't offer a hook and I didn't ask a question back. I forced you to carry the entire weight of the interaction.
Right, I have to do all the work now.
Now let's do it the right way, using the QAQ method. You asked the same question.
So where are you originally from?
I'm from Taipei. It's an incredibly crowded city, but the night markets have the most amazing street food. Have you ever traveled to Asia?
That was a flawless execution of QAQ. Let's unpack the layers of what you just did. First, you answered the direct question, I'm from Taipei.
Right.
But then you offered two distinct hooks. You mentioned the city being crowded, and you brought up street food.
I gave you options. I laid out 2 different clues for you to investigate.
Yes. As the conversation detective listening to you, I now have choices. I don't even have to answer your final question if I am more interested in the hooks.
A good pivot.
I could say, oh, I am obsessed with street food. What is the one dish I have to try? You gave me the materials to build the next bridge, but to be safe, you also provided the final cue in the QAQ method. You asked an open question back. Have you ever traveled to Asia?
By doing that, I completely removed the pressure from you. But let me challenge this framework for a second.
Go ahead.
If I'm constantly giving an answer and then adding extra details about my life and then asking a question, won't I sound like a narcissist?
That's a common fear.
I worry that constantly adding hooks makes it seem like I just desperately want to talk about myself.
Well, that is a very perceptive challenge. There's a fine line between offering a hook and hijacking a conversation. The difference lies in the brevity of the hook and the swiftness of the return question.
Brevity is key.
If your answer is a 5-minute monologue about your deep emotional connection to Taipei's street food, yes, you are hijacking the conversation, but a hook is just a single sentence. It is a tiny offering.
Just a little flavor.
It says, here is a small window into my life if you wish to look. And by immediately following it with a question directed at them, you demonstrate that your ultimate interest is in hearing their voice, not your own.
It is a delicate balance. But when done correctly, it creates a rhythm that prevents the interaction from feeling like an interrogation. It feels like a mutual exchange of gifts.
Very true.
So as an English learner, train your brain. Whenever you answer a question, force yourself to add one tiny detail before tossing the ball back. How was your weekend? Goes to, it was relaxing. I finally watched that new sci-fi movie everyone is talking about. Are you a fan of science fiction? QAQ.
Now, everything we have discussed so far is about what you do when it is your turn to speak, but here is where the cultural nuances become incredibly profound.
Oh, this is fascinating.
In English-speaking cultures, small talk is equally about what you do when the other person is speaking.
We are talking about the concept of active listening. And for many language learners, this requires unlearning deeply ingrained cultural habits.
Exactly. We need to look at the difference between high-context cultures and low-context cultures.
Break that down for us.
In many high-context cultures, places like Japan, Korea, or various indigenous cultures, communication relies heavily on unspoken understanding, hierarchy, and nonverbal cues. In these cultures, when someone else is speaking, the most polite and respectful thing you can do is remain completely, absolutely silent.
You sit still, you look at them respectfully, you do not make a sound, and you let them finish their entire thought without any interruption. It is a sign of deep reverence for their words.
But Western English-speaking countries like the US, the UK, Australia are notoriously low-context cultures.
We need everything spelled out.
Yes, people rely heavily on explicit, continuous verbal confirmation. If you apply the high-context rule of perfect silence while an American is telling you a story, the result will be disastrous.
Silence to an American speaker is terrifying.
It is completely unnerving. If you sit in perfect, motionless silence, their low-context brain will start to panic. They will think, oh no, they have no idea what I am saying, my English is too fast, or they're incredibly bored, or they disagree with me and are judging me.
So how do we bridge this cultural gap? How do we prove to a native English speaker that we are engaged without feeling like we are rudely interrupting them?
We must utilize what our sources call listening noises.
Listening noises. This involves making short, supportive vocalizations while the other person is in the middle of a sentence. Words like, oh really? That's fascinating. Wow. I see. Or even just a simple rhythmic, mm-hmm.
To a learner from a culture that values silent respect, interjecting with, wow, every few seconds feels incredibly rude. It feels like you're trying to steal the microphone.
Like you're interrupting.
But you have to reframe how you view these sounds. You are not interrupting their sentence. You are providing an encouraging background soundtrack to their story.
It is the auditory equivalent of nodding your head. You are signaling, I am tracking with you, I understand your English, please keep going.
Without those listening noises, the native speaker feels like they are throwing a ball against a wall of fog. They don't know if the ball is landing. The and right are the sounds of the ball bouncing back.
So sprinkle those listening noises liberally throughout the conversation. It makes the native speaker feel remarkably comfortable and validated.
Absolutely.
But speaking of feeling comfortable, we must address the hazards. We need to navigate the social minefield. We have to talk about taboo topics.
Ah, yes. The topics that will instantly ruin the appetizer, spoil the mood, and ensure that the person never wants to speak to you again.
Every culture on Earth has a unique, unwritten constitution about what is considered public information and what is fiercely protected private information.
It's so true.
Our sources highlight 4 major taboos in English-speaking cultures that you must avoid at all costs during small talk. Let's dissect them and understand the sociological why behind each one. The first massive taboo is money and salary.
Asking a question like, how much money do you make? Like, how much did you pay for that car? Or what is your rent? It's considered a severe violation of privacy in English-speaking cultures.
Now, for many learners, this is deeply confusing. In various parts of the world, asking about someone's salary is just a practical, everyday question.
Yeah, it's just exchanging data.
It is a way to understand someone's social standing, or even just a way to learn about the local economy. Why is it so toxic in English?
It traces back to complex cultural narratives about self-worth, egalitarianism, and class anxiety. In many Western societies, particularly in the US, there is a strong cultural myth that everyone is equal.
The American dream ideal.
Exactly. Openly discussing exact income figures shatters that myth. It immediately establishes a hierarchy of who has more and who has less.
It introduces comparison.
Yes. Discussing money can instantly trigger feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, arrogance, or embarrassment. It makes the interaction heavy and laden with judgment. Small talk is supposed to be a safe, low-stakes environment. Money is the highest-stakes topic imaginable.
So no numbers. Keep financial inquiries completely off the table. Taboo number 2 is closely related. Age. Asking, how old are you?
Similar to money, a person's age is often tied to their insecurities. In many Eastern cultures, age is revered. Asking someone their age is necessary, so you know exactly what level of formal language to use to show them proper respect. Getting older is associated with gaining wisdom and status.
But in the West, youth is the ultimate currency.
Youth is highly prized, and aging is often viewed, unfortunately, as a decline in relevance or attractiveness. Therefore, asking an adult their age can imply that you are evaluating their physical decline or judging whether they have achieved enough for their stage in life.
So just don't ask.
Unless you are talking to a small child who is thrilled to hold up their fingers and declare they are 5.5, do not ask for a number.
5.5, yes. Children are the only exception. Okay, taboo number 3. Politics and religion.
This may seem obvious to some, but it is worth reiterating because the temptation to discuss current events is strong. Politics and religion are not just opinions, they are fundamentally tied to a person's deepest moral identity and worldview.
People have very strong, unyielding, and highly emotional attachments to these topics.
And remember the core definition of small talk. It is about finding common ground. It is about proving you belong to the same social in-group.
Right.
Politics and religion are the great dividers. They are battlegrounds. If you guess their affiliation incorrectly or express a contrary view, you instantly become a member of the outgroup. The trust is broken before it was ever built. Avoid these topics until you have established a deep, long-standing friendship.
And finally, taboo number 4. This one is incredibly important for English learners because the cultural norms vary so wildly across the globe. Weight and physical appearance.
The rule here is absolute. You should never make direct, unprompted comments about someone's physical body, their weight, or their apparent level of fatigue.
Let's really explore the contrast here because it's huge. In many Asian cultures, for example, it is completely normal, expected, and even considered a sign of deep affection and care to look at a friend and say, "Oh, you gained weight," or "You're so skinny now, are you eating enough?" or "You look incredibly tired today."
Right, the intention is good.
The underlying message is, I'm observing you closely because I care about your health and well-being. But if an English learner directly translates that intention into English,
it will be received as a devastating insult.
why?
Because Western cultures prioritize extreme individualism and personal autonomy over the physical self. The body is considered a highly private domain, even when it is physically visible to everyone.
Off all limits.
To comment on someone's weight, whether gaining or losing, implies that you are monitoring and judging their private physical form.
And what about, "You look tired"? Why is that so offensive when the learner is just trying to express sympathy?
Because of the cultural emphasis on energetic presentation, when you tell a native English speaker you look tired, they do not hear, "I care about your rest."
Oh, they hear.
Their brain translates your words to mean, "Your face looks terrible right now. You look old, you look exhausted, and you are failing to present a vibrant image to the world." It triggers massive self-consciousness.
"You look tired" literally translates to "you look terrible." That is a crucial warning for our listeners. So how do we express appreciation for someone's appearance without crossing the line?
We return to the K in our WORK method, kindness. The golden rule is only compliment things the person actively chose.
Choices versus traits.
Yes. A person did not choose the shape of their body or the dark circles under their eyes, but they did choose their colorful scarf. They did choose their unique earrings. They did choose to get a new haircut.
That's perfect sense.
By complimenting their choices, that scarf is a beautiful color on you, you are praising their taste and personality, not evaluating their biology.
Praise the choice, not the biology.
Sure.
This is a brilliant, highly actionable rule.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a breath and fast forward.
All right.
You've done everything right. You approached safely. You used an observational opener about the occasion. You asked open-ended questions. You executed the QAQ method perfectly, dropping hooks and catching theirs.
You're doing great.
You made supportive listening noises. You avoided the minefields of money, age, and appearance. You are currently in the middle of a fantastic, polite conversation.
The appetizer was a massive success.
But reality sets in. Your bus has finally arrived. Or your conference session is starting in 2 minutes. Or, quite frankly, you have been speaking your second language for 15 minutes. Your supercomputer brain is overheating, and you desperately need a break.
It happens to everyone.
You need to leave. How do you escape?
This brings us to the final and often most anxiety-inducing phase, the graceful exit.
Exiting is terrifying because you feel trapped. You have just had all this effort building a connection, proving you are friendly. You cannot just abruptly turn your back and walk away in the middle of a sentence.
No, you definitely cannot do that.
That would destroy all the goodwill you just created. It feels like a betrayal.
It does. A sudden departure signals rejection. You need a strategy to decouple from the interaction without causing offense. Our sources outline the mechanics of what they call the polite retreat.
Let's look at one final story about Leo. Leo is now at a crowded networking event. He has been chatting with a vendor for 15 minutes. It was a pleasant exchange. But Leo is at a networking event to meet multiple people, and he is ready to move on. He doesn't want to be tethered to one person all night.
So Leo employs patience. He does not interrupt the vendor mid-sentence. He waits for a natural lull, a pause in the flow of information.
When that pause happens, Leo says, "It's been absolutely great chatting with you, but I'm going to go grab another drink from the bar. I'll see you later."
And how did the vendor react?
The vendor smiles warmly, replies, "Sure thing, enjoy the event, catch you later." And they part ways. It was smooth, painless, and completely devoid of awkwardness.
Leo executed the perfect exit formula. There are 3 mandatory structural components to a graceful exit in English. If learners memorize this formula, they will never feel hostage to a conversation again.
I am taking detailed notes here. What is the 3-part formula?
It is a compliment, followed by a reason, followed by a farewell.
Compliment, reason, farewell. Let's dissect those. Part 1, the compliment.
Before you introduce the idea of leaving, you must first validate the interaction you just had. You want the person to feel valued, so you lead with positivity. "I've really enjoyed hearing about your work," or "It was so nice meeting you," or simply, "This has been a really great chat."
By doing this, you are preemptively reassuring their ego. You are saying, "I am not leaving because you are boring or offensive."
Which perfectly sets up part 2, the reason.
Exactly. You must provide a brief, logical justification for your physical departure. "I need to go find my colleague," or "I had to jump on a quick phone call," or "I should probably head back to my desk to finish a report."
But let me ask a very practical, very honest question.
Sure.
What if I do not actually have a reason to leave? What if I am at a party, I don't need to make a phone call, I don't have a colleague to find, but I am just exhausted and want to stop talking to this specific person? I can't say, "You are nice, but I am tired of looking at you." No, you certainly cannot say that. That is where you utilize what I like to call the refill technique.
Refill.
Yes, you can always manufacture a polite, biological, or logistical excuse that is completely immune to argument.
Like what?
Safe, bulletproof excuses include, "I'm going to go grab some more coffee," or "I need to go find the appetizer tray," or the ultimate undeniable exit, "If you'll excuse me, I need to go use the restroom."
It is brilliant because it is unarguable. The other person cannot possibly say, "No, do not go to the restroom, stay here and talk to me." It is a biological imperative.
Exactly. It preserves the other person's dignity perfectly. You are communicating that you are not rejecting their company. Your coffee cup is simply empty, and you must attend to it.
That is a massive relief. Okay, so we have the compliment, "It was great chatting." We have the reason, "I need to grab some food." And part 3 is the farewell.
Part 3 is simply wishing them well as you physically turn away. "Have a great rest of your night," or "Enjoy the rest of the conference," or a casual "Catch you later."
Let's weave it all together in a single, fluid motion for the listener. "It was so wonderful meeting you, but I need to step outside to make a quick phone call. Enjoy the rest of the party."
Flawless. It takes exactly 6 seconds to say, it is highly polite, it leaves a positive impression, and it completely frees you from the interaction.
Now, we have spent a significant amount of time analyzing vocabulary, grammar, and frameworks. But our sources remind us of a fundamental truth of human interaction. Communication is heavily nonverbal.
Very true.
We need to explore the silent voice of body language.
If your body language contradicts the polite words coming out of your mouth, the other person's brain will always, without exception, believe your body. Your body language reveals your true intentions.
Let's reiterate the baseline nonverbals we established earlier. You are standing at an arm's length. You are maintaining a relaxed smile. What else is critical for demonstrating engagement?
Eye contact is paramount, but again, it is about balance. You need to maintain natural, rhythmic eye contact.
Natural being the operative word. We do not want to subject the stranger to an intense, unblinking, predatory stare.
No laser beams. You should look into their eyes for a few seconds, softly look away to process a thought, and then bring your eyes back. However, if your eyes are constantly darting around the room, looking over their shoulder to see who else is at the party, or worse, if you are glancing down at your phone while they speak, the conversation is dead.
Because you are non-verbally screaming, you are not important to me. I'm looking for something better.
Exactly. You pair that natural eye contact with the physical act of nodding, moving your head up and down in agreement. This physically reinforces the verbal listening noises we discussed earlier.
But here is where the deep dive gets genuinely fascinating. The most mind-blowing reveal in our sources regarding body language isn't about the eyes or the smile or the head. It's about a body part we rarely think about during a conversation. The feet.
The feet. This is a brilliant insight into subconscious human psychology and evolutionary biology.
Please explain this to me. Why on earth do my shoes matter during small talk?
Human beings are exceptionally observant on a subconscious, deep survival brain level. When we are deeply engaged in a conversation, when we genuinely like the person and want to be in their presence, our entire body naturally aligns toward them. And this alignment starts from the ground up. Our toes will point directly at the person we are speaking with.
It shows full bodily commitment to the interaction.
Yes, but when our brain decides that it is time to leave, whether we are bored, anxious, or just late for a meeting, our subconscious mind begins preparing the body for the flight response.
Flight, as in running away.
Exactly.
No.
Before we even realize we are doing it, we will shift our weight and point our feet away from the person, usually aiming directly toward the nearest exit or door.
So my face is smiling, my mouth is saying, wow, I love this story about your salad recipes. But my feet have literally pivoted toward the elevator. My feet are screaming, get me out of here.
Exactly. The brain does not lie. And here's the crucial part. The other person will feel that dissonant energy. Even if they never consciously look down at your shoes, their peripheral vision and subconscious threat detectors will register that your bodily posture is pulling away.
They can sense it.
They will feel a sudden chill in the interaction. They will sense that you are disengaged, even if they don't know why.
That is an incredible, subtle trick. So, as an English learner, if you want to ensure the other person feels truly heard and valued, do a quick mental check. Where are my toes pointing? Point your toes at the person.
It is a small physical adjustment that yields massive psychological results.
Now, let's look at a scenario that combines everything we have learned, but introduces a complication. You are pointing your toes. You are smiling. You asked a brilliant open question. But despite your best efforts, an inevitable awkward silence falls.
It happens.
Maybe they gave a short answer and your mind just goes blank. You run out of WRK topics. How do we rescue a dying conversation without panicking?
Our sources offer a highly elegant strategy for this exact moment of panic. It is called the previous topic trick.
How does the previous topic trick work?
When that heavy silence falls and you feel the anxiety rising in your chest, your instinct is usually to frantically invent a brand new topic out of thin air. Do you like helicopters?
Which feels totally random and desperate.
Right. Instead of inventing something new, the trick is to reach backward into the recent past of the conversation. You recycle a topic that already worked.
Give me an example.
You say, so you mentioned earlier that you love hiking. Or you were saying before about your trip to Taipei. What was your favorite part?
Oh, that is such a clever maneuver. Why is it so effective sociologically?
It is brilliant for two distinct reasons. First, from a practical standpoint, it requires zero creativity from you. You do not have to invent a new subject. You are just picking up a thread they already dropped. It lowers your cognitive load.
And the second reason?
Second, and far more importantly, it delivers a massive psychological compliment to the other person.
Because it proves that you are actively listening.
Exactly. It proves that you were paying such close, dedicated attention to them earlier in the conversation that you cataloged their interests and want to return to them. Nothing makes a human being feel more valued than knowing they were truly heard and remembered. It instantly revives the warmth of the interaction.
I cared enough about your words to bring them back up. That is a beautiful way to rescue a silence. Now, as we begin to wrap up our deep dive, let's address the best-case scenario.
The ideal outcome.
What if the small talk goes really well? What if you actually genuinely like this stranger? You've had the appetizer, and you realize you want the main course. You don't want to just execute the exit formula and never see them again. How do you upgrade the connection from small talk to real talk?
You need to establish a bridge for future communication, but respecting the cultural norms of space and pressure, you want to build that bridge in a very low-stakes way.
Right. If I meet someone at a bus stop and after 10 minutes I say, give me your personal cell phone number, that might trigger their threat response. It feels too intense, too fast.
In many English-speaking cultures, yes, Asking for a direct phone number too quickly can feel invasive. Therefore, we utilize social media or professional networks as a softer, safer bridge.
It depends on the occasion, right?
Exactly. The platform you choose depends entirely on the occasion. If you are in a business setting or talking to a colleague, the safest bridge is professional. You say, "I've really enjoyed our chat today. Are you on LinkedIn?"
LinkedIn is perfectly safe. It is expected, it is professional, and it involves very little personal risk. What if it is a casual setting, like a party or a community class?
In a casual setting, the bridge shifts to social media. You might ask, "Are you on Instagram?" It allows them to connect with you without giving you direct access to their private phone line.
And if it's going really well?
If you feel an undeniably strong rapport, you can suggest a low-commitment future activity. The classic phrasing is, "We should grab coffee sometime."
We should grab coffee sometime. It is the quintessential American relationship upgrade. What is the subtext of that phrase?
The subtext is, "I have enjoyed this appetizer enough that I am willing to invest 20 minutes of my future time sitting down with you for a slightly deeper conversation." It is an invitation. And if the feeling is mutual, they will usually respond by saying, "I would love that. Let me give you my number."
You have successfully navigated the entire life cycle of the interaction. You broke the ice, you survived the currents, and you built a bridge. Let's do a final comprehensive review of this journey for you, our listener. Let's recap the toolkit you now possess.
We began with the terrifying blank canvas of the awkward silence. You learned that asking direct, closed questions feels like an interrogation. Instead, you learned to break the ice using observational openers.
You learned the WORK method to find safe ground: weather, occasion, recent news, kindness. You learned the grammatical trick of throwing the conversational baseball using question tags. Crazy weather, isn't it?
Then, we moved into the art of keeping the conversation flowing. You learn to identify and avoid the dead end of closed questions, the ones starting with do, is, and are. You replace them with the expansive open doors of who, what, where, when, why, and how.
You adopted the mindset of the conversation detective. You learned to listen for clues, and you mastered the QAQ method. Question, answer with a hook, and question back. You embraced the low-context cultural reality by making vital listening noises. Wow, really, I see.
You learned how to safely navigate the cultural minefields, strictly avoiding the taboos of money, age, politics, religion, and making comments on people's innate physical appearance.
And finally, you mastered the polite retreat. The exit formula.
Yeah.
Compliment, reason, farewell. It was wonderful meeting you, but I need to go grab a refill. Have a great night. And you did it all while making sure your toes were pointing in the right direction.
It is a complex choreography. There are a lot of sociological and grammatical mechanics to remember, but I want to offer a deep reassurance to our listeners. The golden rule of small talk is not about achieving perfection.
I think this is the most important takeaway of the entire deep dive.
The goal of small talk in a second language is not to prove to the stranger that you have memorized every grammar rule perfectly. It is not an oral exam graded by a strict teacher.
No.
And the goal is certainly not to prove that you are the most articulate, intelligent, or entertaining person in the room. The singular goal of small talk is simply to be the friendliest person in the room.
To be the friendliest. Listen, if you stumble over your pronunciation, if you completely forget a vocabulary word mid-sentence, or if you accidentally use a closed question instead of an open one, it is completely fine.
They won't even notice.
If you are maintaining an arm's length, if your toes are pointed toward them, if you're smiling warmly, and if you're showing genuine detective-like interest in their life, they will forgive your grammar mistakes instantly.
There's a famous saying, people will rarely remember the exact words you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. If you make them feel safe and heard, you have succeeded.
That brings me back to the very beginning of our discussion, to that image of the textbook and the supercomputer brain. The textbook provides the binary rules of right and wrong. But small talk is not binary. Small talk is about shared humanity. And I want to leave you, our listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over as you go about your day.
If we look at the deeper evolutionary meaning of what we have discussed today, small talk is far more than just exchanging meaningless facts about the weather or a colleague's salad preference. It is an ancient, deeply ingrained social ritual. For thousands of years, human beings have needed a mechanism to approach strangers and quickly ascertain, are you a friend or are you a foe?
Are you safe?
Exactly. I engage in the ritual of small talk to prove that we are safe, that we are attentive to our shared environment, and that we are kind. It is the fundamental architecture of human trust building.
And here is the provocative thought I want to leave you with. We are moving rapidly into an era where our interactions are increasingly mediated by screens.
That's true.
We spend our days texting, emailing, and soon we will spend a massive portion of our time talking to highly advanced AI assistants that don't require small talk, that don't need us to prove we are safe, and that don't care about the weather. If small talk is the ancient muscle we use to build trust with strangers, what happens to human society if that muscle atrophies? As our world becomes more digital and less face-to-face, the ability to look a stranger in the eye and navigate a messy, real-life conversation might become the most rare and valuable superpower a human being can possess.
It is a profound shift. Retaining the ability to connect in the physical world is going to be a crucial differentiator in the future.
So if you can master this ancient ritual, and not just master it, but master it in a second language, think about the magnitude of that accomplishment. If you can stand in front of a stranger, navigate their unspoken cultural rules, use their complex grammar, and successfully signal, I am safe, I am interested, and I am friendly, what does that say about you? It proves your incredible capacity to adapt. It proves your deep well of empathy. It proves that you have the power to build genuine connection across any cultural boundary on the planet.
You are not just learning how to speak English, you are learning how to actively weave the fabric of human connection.
Beautifully said. You have the knowledge, you have the WORK method, the QAQ rhythm, and the exit formula. The frozen river is ready to flow. So here's your challenge. Try just one icebreaker tomorrow. Just one. When you're standing in line at the coffee shop or waiting at the bus stop or riding up in the office elevator, take a deep breath, consciously relax your face into a smile, look at the shared environment, and toss that conversational baseball.
You might be incredibly surprised by how eagerly the stranger catches it.
Remember, those murky, muddy waters of real-life conversation. They become a lot easier to navigate once you realize a fundamental secret. Almost everyone else is just standing there, feeling slightly awkward, hoping that someone friendly will be brave enough to talk to them too. Go out there and be that friendly person.
Until next time.
Keep talking, keep listening, and keep diving deep.